We need to start our story with Ali ibn Abi Talib. Ali was born in Mecca in the powerful Hashimi clan and was a cousin of the Muslim prophet Muhammad. Ali was one of the first people to accept Islam and recognize Muhammad as the prophet. But Muhammad's proselytizing was not initially popular among the polytheistic Meccans, and he and the early Muslims had been oppressed. The rumors of a plot against Muhammad were spreading, forcing him to leave Mecca for Medina in 622, which was called Hijrah, the migration. Initially, Ali stayed behind to return people the possessions they had entrusted upon the Prophet for safekeeping. But very soon he joined other Muslims in Medina, and in 623 married Muhammad's daughter Fatima Zahra. By 631, the Islamic community, the Ummah, had been able to assert control over Mecca and large swaths of the Arabian Peninsula, but who was going to succeed aging Muhammad? And this is the root of the split in Islam. Sunni and Shia sources offer different interpretations. On the way back from his last pilgrimage, Muhammad gave a sermon at the Ghadir Kum oasis and proclaimed that anyone who has me as his Mawla has Ali as his Mawla, a polysemous Arabic word with several meanings, one of which is leader or master. Sunnis believe that the Ghadir Kum episode was merely a proclamation of affinity of the Prophet to his loyal companion and son-in-law, and interpret the word Mawla using its second definition, a friend. Another important episode in the succession dispute is connected to the so-called pen and paper episode. In Islam, a hadith is a story on the life of Muhammad with religious and legal messages for the Muslim community, and according to this one, a few days before his death, Muhammad asked his companions to bring him pen and paper so that he could write a statement in order to prevent the Ummah from going astray after his death. But one of Muhammad's closest companions, Umar, said, "The Prophet is seriously ill, and we have got Allah's book with us, and that is sufficient for us." Shias claim that he intended to designate Ali as his successor, but there's no way to determine this. According to Sunnis, the Prophet did not explicitly designate a successor and left it for the Islamic community to decide. Following Muhammad's death in 632, the Ummah did not have a consensus on a new leader. A meeting to decide the successor took place in Medina. Ali and two other prominent companions of the Prophet were not present. In fact, the majority of those present were the Muslims residing in Medina, who welcomed Muhammad or were converted later. Abu Bakr and Umar rushed to the meeting and took charge of the process in Ali's absence. Muhammad's father-in-law was very rich and contributed a lot to the cause of Islam. Umar was also a close companion of Muhammad, also his father-in-law through his daughter Hafsa. He is known as a just, intelligent and wise person in the Sunni tradition. Umar embarked on the process of persuading or forcing the companions to offer fealty to Abu Bakr. The Sunnis believe that Umar was able to peacefully persuade Ali to recognize Abu Bakr's caliphate. According to Shia sources, Umar forced Ali to concede by breaking into the house and slamming the door, which broke Ali's wife Fatima Zahra's ribs, eventually leading to the miscarriage of their child. It is impossible to verify what really happened, but eventually Ali accepted Abu Bakr and retired from public life. Ali accepted the selection of Umar as caliph and even gave one of his daughters, Kulthum, to him in marriage. After the death of Umar in 644, Ali was considered for the position, but eventually another companion of Muhammad, Uthman of the Banu Umayyah clan, became the new caliph. But very soon discontent in the caliphate grew. Many claimed that Uthman's nepotism and leniency towards tribal rivalries were the cause of the opposition against him. Rebels offered to support Ali as an alternative to Uthman, but Ali refused and even sent his sons, Hassan and Hussein, to protect Uthman's house, where eventually, despite all the protection, Uthman was assassinated by rebels from Egypt in 656. Finally, Ali's turn to become a caliph came. The Prophet's wife Aisha and Uthman's relatives from the Banu Umayyah clan, including the governor of Syria Muawiyah, demanded that Ali punish the plotters of Uthman's death, but since some of them were Ali's supporters, the new caliph rejected this, and soon the first Muslim civil war, called Fitna, started. In December 656, Ali's army defeated the rebels at the Battle of Camel near Basra, but Muawiyah still refused to accept Ali as a new caliph, and the anti-Ali opposition gathered around him. The two men assembled their armies and confronted each other at Siffin on the Euphrates in 657. But after 3 months of occasional skirmishes, when serious fighting finally broke out, Muawiyah's followers called for an arbitration, apparently riding out with copies of the Quran on their lances to bring the conflict to a stop. Ali was forced to agree, but some of his followers objected and abandoned him. According to the arbitration, it was ruled that both Ali and Muawiyah should relinquish their claims, and the Muslim Ummah should have a chance to choose their own ruler. Ali rejected this ruling, and the stalemate continued as Muawiyah's supporters proclaimed him a caliph in Damascus in 660. The following year, Ali was assassinated by the Kharijis while praying in the mosque at Kufa. Ali's son Hassan was proclaimed a new caliph in Kufa, but Muawiyah had a far stronger army. Thus Hassan stepped down as a caliph in order to avoid further bloodshed, and a treaty between the sides was signed. According to the treaty, Hassan accepted Muawiyah as a caliph under the condition that he would act in accordance with Islam. Muawiyah would not appoint a successor, and a new caliph should be elected by the Electoral Council, Shura. Muawiyah would abandon cursing Ali and persecuting Ali's family and supporters. But Muawiyah would not stay true to his pledges, and towards the end of his reign, he designated his son Yazid as a successor. Muawiyah summoned the Shura in Damascus, the new capital of the caliphate. This development caused significant opposition in different quarters, and this opposition started gathering around Muhammad's grandson and Ali's son Hussein, who replaced Hassan, who passed away in 670, as the leader. Despite the opposition, Muawiyah was able to secure the support of Mecca and Medina for Yazid. Following Muawiyah's death, Yazid became the new caliph and immediately demanded allegiance of Hussein. Yazid's envoy could not persuade Hussein to do this. Around the same time, the people of the city of Kufa started sending letters to Hussein, informing him about their opposition to the Umayyad rule. The Kufans sided with Ali during the first fitna, continued to support his family by backing Hassan, and were unhappy when he abdicated in favor of Muawiyah. Hussein accepted this call and sent his cousin Muslim ibn Aqil to Kufa to gather support. Yazid was forced to change the governor of Kufa to defeat the opposition in the city, and the new governor succeeded in doing just that. Muslim ibn Aqil decided to carry out a revolt before Hussein's arrival, but it was defeated. Hussein did not know about this, and in September of 680 started his journey towards Kufa with around 50 men and his family members. Very soon Yazid's forces confronted Hussein, and an envoy of Kufa's new governor told Hussein to come with him or turn back and go anywhere but Medina. Hussein refused and continued on his path with the envoy's forces accompanying him. Yazid sent an additional 4,000 men to confront Hussein. For over a week, Yazid's officials had tried to persuade Hussein to accept his fate and pledge allegiance to Yazid, since they understood the consequences of attacking the Prophet's grandson. Ultimately, Hussein refused the offers of Yazid, and on the 10th of October, the Umayyad army approached Hussein's camp, and both sides took their battle positions. Hussein's companions fought valiantly, but the forces were extremely uneven. He and his men were massacred. Many from the Prophet's family were killed. This was a final straw, completing the schism in the Islamic world and dividing it into Sunni and Shia. The process, which started with the dispute over succession to Muhammad and continued with the killing of Ali and Hussein, caused the split of Islam, with Shi'at Ali, Ali's party, first becoming a political movement within Islam and later transforming into a branch of Islam, offering alternative interpretation of the Quran and Hadiths, its own view on Islamic jurisprudence, on state and some religious practices, venerating the people of the house, Al-Bayt, Muhammad's direct descendants as his righteous successors, Ali's martyrdom during the prayer, Hussein's martyrdom during the struggle against the perceived tyrant and usurper, turned into a powerful symbol of Shia Islam.